Hey everyone, my name is Chris, this is my whiteboard, and welcome to Cris. In today's video I'm going to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name, depends on which language you prefer. So, for those of you who don't know the movie, this video will contain a lot of spoilers. So you better stop watching the video or watch the movie and come back here. So, let's get started. The movie is about a guy, Taki, from Tokyo, and a girl, Mitsuha, from Itomori, a small village near Tokyo, I think, who occasionally switch bodies. The body switching, as we later learn, is to help Mitsuha evacuate Itomori, since the town will get struck by a meteor that passes the Earth once in 12,000 years. So, the thing here is that we also only later notice that while Mitsuha, for us in the past, lives in 2013 when the meteor strikes, but the Taki we get to know lives in 2016. And in the end, it's 2021 when the both of them meet again. So, a problem here is the time model with which the movie works. Because if we assume that Taki goes back to 2013, prevents Mitsuha from dying due to the meteor strike, then the Taki from 2016 wouldn't have existed the way he did. Because his life has not really been impacted by the meteor strike, but it has happened in his lifetime. So it already shaped the world around him the way it is in his 2016. So basically, if we assume that his presence as Mitsuha in 2013 really influenced the timelines, then he wouldn't have existed in the first place in 2016 the way we get to know him and the way he gets to know Mitsuha. So, by logic, this time model wouldn't really work. We'd have to look at it as the one with the parallel time streams, where in 2013 we have the comet strike, and one of which kills Mitsuha and the other doesn't. So there we have 2016. At the top one, Mitsuha is dead, and at the bottom one, she's alive. Now, from this 2016, Taki basically goes back from the top one into the original 2013. Because let's assume there's only one 2013, but two 2016s. So, it wouldn't really work out because it's kind of a paradoxon, since Taki would cease to exist the moment when he woke up as Mitsuha in 2013. Because his first being there will eventually result in Mitsuha surviving the meteor strike. If we kind of think of the first model again, then the timeline where Mitsuha eventually dies would have been eradicated, and only the one where she survives would further exist. But that would mean Taki wouldn't exist anymore. He would have never met Mitsuha, and in the end they wouldn't have met again in 2021. Which, well, if Taki didn't exist in the bad timeline would still have happened, because he wouldn't have been able to go back to 2013 to save Mitsuha and the others from Itomori. So either it's a paradoxon or it's a loop, because if he went back to prevent it, he wouldn't exist in the first place, because this Taki is a different Taki than the one from the timeline where Mitsuha dies. And also they wouldn't have really known each other, even though they lost their memories after a really short while. So they only had that feeling of longing, of remembering something but not knowing what it was, of missing something or someone, which eventually led them to meet again in 2021. But it really wouldn't be able to work out, because we have a paradoxon / loop here. Because eventually there's only the one timeline where Mitsuha dies. It's a predetermined thing that happens, because if she wouldn't die, Taki in 2016 wouldn't exist the way he did or would or is in 2016, and wouldn't be able to switch with Mitsuha in 2013 to prevent his 2016 from ever existing. So it doesn't work out. I'm sorry. I can't think of but a way where it really works out. In the movie I think they work with this timeline, because Mitsuha dies in 2013. She's dead. Taki lives in 2016 without ever knowing Mitsuha beforehand, despite her visiting him in 2013 in the timeline where she dies, which is mainly the timeline we exist, which Mitsuha exists as well. So they do meet in 2013, but Taki couldn't have known her because he only got to know her 3 years later on his timeline, when his body switching started. So, for some of you who are still confused, Mitsuha is 3 years older than Taki, in case some of you still don't get that. Because Mitsuha is, I think, 16 in 2013 and Taki is 16 in 2016. Let's just assume they are 16. I don't know, I'm sorry. So, in the movie, they also work with the scenario that they slowly lose their memories of each other and of their body switching. So we could also assume that they live in a timeline where no major events affect the timeline at all. That's the only logical reason I could think of, that when Mitsuha survives, the Taki from 2016 would still be the same Taki we or she met due to the body switching. And that's really the only way I could see this work out right now. Because Mitsuha is in 2013, but she dies, so she doesn't live the years from 2013 to 2016, from which on Taki goes back to 2013, but Mitsuha goes to 2016. Whoa, my lisp is really bad. If a person is dead past a certain point in time, could they even travel to anything further than that, or even if it's just their soul, or would they be stuck until they could go back to their time, or would they cease to exist? Would that also be a thing that could happen? Anyway, I think the movie works with a really simple version of the flow of time, because while Mitsuha is dead from 2013 to 2016, she also then, after Taki goes back to 2013, continues to live. So the timeline where she's dead shouldn't exist anymore, but the Taki we know is the Taki from that timeline, so he shouldn't exist either, or at least, well, he should exist still, but not the way we got to know him, because the body switching basically didn't happen, or at least not with the Taki we later see in 2021. Despite that, Taki being really interested in Itomori and all the stuff surrounding the meteor crash from 2013. So, our problem now is how can we unfold this paradoxa? The only thing I right now could think of is if we consider parallel universes. We have a parallel universe where 2013 happened the way it originally did, with Mitsuha dying. So Mitsuha is dead until 2016 when we meet Taki. But let's make an X there to see that Mitsuha is dead. And now that's universe 1. And then we take universe 2, where we also start in 2013 and go to 2016. But in this timeline, Mitsuha lives. But here we have two parallel time streams, one where the event is happening and the other where it isn't. We get to know this Taki from the time when Mitsuha dies, and we should assume that it goes back to 2013 on the same timeline where Mitsuha dies. But it could only go back to 2013 where she lives, because that has already happened in his past, but it's not his past because it's his other self's past in the other universe. So he's basically just changing the future for his other self in another universe, because his past, or well, Mitsuha's death has already happened, so it's not really the same Taki but a different universe's Taki. So in the end, when it's 2021, we have on the one timeline where Mitsuha died, well, she and Taki never meet because she's dead, obviously. But in the other universe, they do meet because the Taki from the first universe where she dies goes back to 2013 to prevent her from dying, so in the end they can finally meet. I think the third model with two timelines is the only one where this movie would work out. Yeah, and that's about it. Well, let's first look at where the Mitsuha comes from. Well, she originally comes from the timeline where she dies and switches with Taki where she dies. But after Taki goes to Itomori to find her because she suddenly couldn't switch bodies with her anymore and drinks her Kuchikami sake, he starts to switch with the Mitsuha where she lives, because for his timeline it's already predetermined whether she lives or not in 2013. But when Taki drinks the Kuchikami sake, are we still with the Taki from the first timeline where she dies, or is it already the second one where she lives? I think that's up to everyone's interpretation, whatever they want to think. But in the end, I think the third theory is the only one we could really go with, then would make sense. But also, we will forever have a universe where Mitsuha dies and they never meet, and it won't be a happy end. But at least there's the second universe where it's a happy end. I think that's all I can say about this movie for now. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more of this stuff, then like, comment, subscribe, and I hope I see you guys in the next video. Bye!